So here we are looking at a nice Google map. Love Google Maps, don't you? And you're looking at, of course, Northern Africa, and you're hopefully can see a three-dimensional kind of effect here when you move it, but it's not really three-dimensional, is it? But what you do see standing out is these mountains here. It's called the Atlas Mountains. Now, I'm not a professional geography whiz when it comes to each city and part of the Atlas Mountains, but if I look at the geological formation, you can see a big old chunk of mountain here. Is that going uphill, downhill? I don't know. I have to go in and look. This is the 3D view. Unfortunately, it doesn't give a lot of altitude, but it looks like that's a peak. I mean, we're talking about 50 kilometers for 1 inch, so that's 100, 200, 300 kilometers. But what do you see here? You see a grain. You see the grain of stone, of rock. You see grain. It's going this way, and you can see a nice hard, flat, light-colored, and you can see sand going across it here, and you can see sand going across it there. It's like a big old slab of concrete. It's bedrock. Let's not deny it. This is bedrock. But here you see the sand. That's not bedrock. That's not bedrock. This is the sand coming across Mauritania. And when you zoom in on it, you can see the striations of time, wind, but also perhaps water. And when we say water, we mean water that was over 100 feet high, moving across. When people say, oh, the eye of the Sahara couldn't have been Atlantis because the water was coming from the Atlantic, it would have splashed up from the ocean. No, I don't think so. Let's take a look at this one more time. We've got ancient lakes, maybe here. Where were those ancient lakes? We've got areas of perhaps an ancient lake bed. We have lakes that exist here, the Senegal down here. But what you see here in Mali, this is Timbuktu. You see bedrock sticking through the sand there. You see this little tiny bit separating flowing sand. Where's the sand coming from? It's coming from up here. Now, some people think that this crater is just located 200 miles away from... There we go. Tanamor crater. It's just located 200 kilometers away from the eye of the Sahara. But look, the sand's coming from up here. The sand's coming from way over here. It moved from way over here. So I don't know if I can really agree. Now maybe it did hit this piece of bedrock, this hard, big, huge plateau of the Atlas Mountains. I think that it's really possible that it did cause something. But did this sink or into the ocean? Obviously not. Did it rise up from the sea? I believe that what happened was the waterways that separated this from the ocean filled with sand. And one of the things that can show this is these islands here, these islands are coming and going. There was an ancient map I showed earlier where one of the islands just disappeared. There was a big island here. Where'd it go? And you don't see it under here. Well, we can't really trust Google's ocean. I mean, we see a little bit of texture here, but this is just flat. What happened to the island that was here? Well, it was part of the sand. And it eventually flattened out. You've got a big, huge area of hard bedrock over here. You've got the Atlas Mountains here. Ancient maps show a lake right here. Right here someplace. Maybe here, maybe up here, maybe just right here. So did this get washed away? I think so, but if you know, it's not full of sand now. So this ridge literally protected this whole area from filling with sand. The sand came this way, but it didn't go over this mountain. This mountain's too high for that. It just, so we can see that the water wasn't above those mountains. Just lots of water moving and lots of sand moving at the same time. You move in here, you can see the striations stop right about here, and then it gets back over to some non-striated area. This is a little different, right? It does look like it was full of water. I mean, that's not wind, not that consistency. Wind creates dunes. Those aren't really dunes, those are ripples. And the striations stop right about here. So you can see that there was movement. And I'm not even saying that what we're seeing now is what took down Atlantis. But ancient maps show beds of water, rivers going across towards the Nile. So you've got ancient lakes here. Ancient lakes, is that an ancient area of lake? Probably. Whenever you see a bed of sand, it was probably a body of water. What brought that sand there? So I'm not really sure if these were lakes or not, but I can tell you that there were ancient maps that showed ancient lakes, one or two. I can show you, look at my map video and you'll see them all. An ancient lake flooded Atlantis, and it didn't just flood it for a short, quick period of time. It flooded it consistently over time. Why? We have to put up a timeline and see what type of cataclysmic events. 12,000 years ago, maybe that was Atlantis is finished, but maybe that was done before that, about 20,000 years ago. They talked about other islands disappearing over here. So what caused that? Take a look at my other video about the way the mainstream scientists, and you can see it on the map by Ollie Nye, show two different waves, and it was actually according to their timeline before the Younger Dryas event. Okay, that's all for now. I just wanted to get a perspective of more than just Mauritania here. And again, we can see there's evidence of a major movement, erosion, major, massive erosion. Remember, the United States can fit right here. So this is bigger than the United States. This is as big as the western United States. This is 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000 kilometers. Look at that hard bedrock sticking through. That's not just sand right there. The Atlas Mountains. And according to the ancient maps, this was Atlantis. And one map shows a river flowing from Atlantis. I should pull those maps out one more time, but I want to finish this video and just get back to my day. I got other things I have to do. Have a good day. And think about this when you're talking about whether or not Atlantis was located in Mauritania. You can zoom right in. And I look at this video over here, and I look at these two things here in this drawing, and then I zoom in, and we can see a gateway, two mountaintops, but even further than that, we can also see something that possibly marks an ancient gateway with these weird circles. What are those boulders? Are those columns? Are those the footprints of columns? Look at this stuff here. You can't get closer, but what's that? Is that Sand? The sand is there. This is the bedrock. This could have been there 13,000 years ago. So when we see the sand coming off of here and exposing that, you know, I'd like to get down there and say, what's this thing? You know, sand. Okay, that's it. Have a good day. Thank you.